Hey trainers, the brand new Hisui Cup is right around the corner, or is it really that new? Well, we're going to break down this cup to help you prepare, so get ready to battle. Welcome back trainers. So the Hisui Cup is just about to begin, and you may be wondering, what Pokemon do you need to succeed? Well, looking at its rules, only those who were first discovered in the Hisui region, along with Pokemon from Pokedex number 387 to 493 can participate.
That just sounds like
Sinnoh Cup
with extra steps.
Yeah, that's not wrong. This cup is essentially just the Sinnoh Cup, along with the Hisuian forms and evolutions available in Go. So these 5 lines here. But all in all, the meta isn't going to be that different from the Sinnoh Cup. I already highlighted these 9 Pokemon in my original Sinnoh Cup prep guide, so if you want to get more of a deeper look at each of them, be sure to check that video out. But if you want the short summary, these 9 Pokemon are all pretty useful in the meta. The main core of the meta will consist of Bastiodon and Empoleon, bulky steel types with harder hitting fast moves, those who hit hard back at them, including Lucario, Toxicroak, and Gastrodon, and those who counter those 3, such as Drifblim, Cresselia, and Frostlass. It's a very rock, paper, scissors meta, but some other Pokemon exist too to counter various Pokemon around this triangle. Some I did mention last time, like Munchlax, Drapion, and Magnezone. But what about the Hisuian forms that the cup gets its name from? Well, unfortunately, they're none too impressive. Starting with our first Hisuian form, Hisuian Electrode is probably the best of the 5. It can hit hard against Pokemon like Lucario and Empoleon, and having Energy Ball to threaten Gastrodon is a big advantage as well. But overall, it still struggles against a lot of key players like Bastiodon, Drapion, and Frostlass. I think pairing it alongside a combination of Lucario, Bastiodon, or Drapion would make for a solid team. Now there is something to note with this next one. Hisuian Sneasel is only available through eggs currently, and at the base level 20 that hatched Pokemon are, Sneasler is a too high CP for Great League, meaning for most trainers, it won't be eligible for this cup. And the same can be said for Hisuian Arcanine. Ouch. But I will still talk about both briefly because if someone under level 20 hatches one of those Pokemon, it will correlate with their level, meaning it is possible to get a Great League eligible version of either of these Hisuian evolutions, just not easily. So for Sneasler, it's got high attack and frail defenses, so not exactly what you want for PvP. But moveset wise though, Shadow Claw is an excellent option for it, and so is Close Combat. For a bait move though, things do get mediocre from there. But still, Sneasler's Close Combats will be great against Bastiodon and Empoleon, so it might not be the best option, but it's still something to use. As for its pre-evolution, which does fit into the Great League more easily, Hisuian Sneasel is actually a bit bulkier at the Great League level, which is good, but it's far from being a defensive Pokemon. Move-wise though, it'll utilize Poison Jab alongside the same charged moves as Sneasler. Solid, but poison damage isn't as valuable in a cup with prominent Steel, Ground, and Ghost types, so I don't see it being too useful. For Hisuian Arcanine, if you're able to get one that fits into the Great League level, it won't actually be very good for this cup. While fire and rock damage is valuable for fighting things like Frostlass and Drifblim, other prevalent Pokemon like Empoleon, Bastiodon, and especially Gastrodon will decimate this rock and fire type, so Hisuian Arcanine won't see much use here. This goes for its pre-evolution as well. Even if they had amazing moves, which they don't, their typing just isn't great for this cup. But on to the 4th Hisuian family, Hisuian Qwilfish and Overkwil. These 2 are available in the wild, so they'll both be able to fit into this cup. Unfortunately though, I don't see either of these 2 making big waves in this cup, but probably more so than some of the others. The big issue these 2 have is that they face competition from 2 other dark and poison types, Skuntank and Drapion. Both of these Pokemon have overall better movesets, especially with the move Crunch, whereas these 2 pufferfish just have alright moves, and worse bulk. However, if you wanted to run a team with double poison, which can be a viable strategy, pairing Hisuian Qwilfish or Overkwil with either Drapion or Skuntank can be a pretty good option. Still, I don't think they'll be super viable. And last up, we have Hisuian Braviary, who will debut with its raid day this weekend as part of the Hisui event's Ultra Unlock. But unfortunately for Braviary, it lacks good moves all around. Air Slash is underwhelming, and while Brave Bird and Psychic are solid moves, they're not cheap, and what's left is really just bad, so I wouldn't use Braviary in this cup either. So alas, that's one less Pokemon to use in this new cup. So unfortunately, that leaves this cup feeling just like more Sinnoh Cup. There's some Hisuian forms who could have made more of a dent in the established Sinnoh meta, like Hisuian Goodra, Ursaluna, and Hisuian Lilligant, but unfortunately none of those are present for this cup the first time around. Maybe in the future? So if you do plan to participate in this cup, which teams could work well? One team that would definitely be interesting to try out would be Empoleon alongside Frostlass and Drifblim. Empoleon has some solid coverage against the Sinnoh Cup meta, beating Bastiodon, Cresselia, our Poison Dark trio, and Frostlass and Drifblim themselves. But it's the mud-slapping Gastrodon and counter users like Lucario and Toxicroak that give it a hard time. That's where the two ghosts in the back help back Empoleon up. However, be wary of some of the potential threats with this team. Lick users like Licky Licky and Munchlax destroy your two ghosts and can take down Empoleon as well. And Hisuian Electrode can deal with both Empoleon and Drifblim, so farming energy to deal with these threats can be the difference between a win and a loss. If you're looking for a more typical team, look no further than the Bastiodon and Cresselia core, which while pretty unoriginal, is incredibly effective. And a ton of stuff works well in the third slot. For me though, I like using Gallade with these two. If you run into a Lucario, Toxicroak, or Gastrodon that threatens your Bastiodon, a backline of Gallade and Cresselia works really well to deal with all three of them. But it is important to not get greedy and charge too much extra energy with Gallade. It's quite frail, so you'll either need to use shields with it or throw your charge moves as you get them. But luckily, Bastiodon and Cresselia don't need shields nearly as much. For our final Hisui Cup team, we're going to actually try and use a Hisuian Pokemon in the team. The core of our team will be made up of Munchlax and Cresselia. I know we did just use Cresselia, but the two of these Pokemon together, they're really bulky, and they cover each other's weaknesses really well. But the two do struggle a bit with steel types like Empoleon and Bastiodon. Grassnot and Bulldoze can help for sure, but we need a third Pokemon to help deal with the steel. That's where Sneasler comes in. If you're able to get one for Great League, it'll play a good role for this team. Close combat will eradicate Empoleon and Bastiodon, but I do recommend saving some shields for Sneasler, with it being the frail cannon of the team. But at least like with our last team, Munchlax and Cresselia really don't need to utilize shields as much. But that just about wraps up this GBL Cup analysis. If you were expecting something brand new, I'm sorry to tell you this cup isn't quite that. But if you like this analysis and want to see more like it, be sure to give this one a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. In a couple of weeks we'll have a Summer Cup prep guide video, so stay tuned for that. Until next time though, thank you all so much for watching, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.